Hey everybody, good morning. Good morning, David, Patrick, Mr. Sharp, Shaquise, Donald, Robert, PD, Craig. How's everybody going? Mary, good morning, morning. Um, Yellow, I mean, once it's bankrupt, it's bankrupt. I mean, they may come back from the dead, but they bought up Roadway and a couple of the other ones and then ran it into the ground. So, it is what it is. Less than a truckload. It's a sketchy business to be shipping in. And tomorrow I'm going to talk about cardboard. I found an article about cardboard sales, an update. I talked about this a couple months ago, and I'll talk about it some more tomorrow. So interesting on how you can gauge economic output on cardboard. So, but today I came with a plan to talk about earnings, and some other things kind of popped up on my radar. So I'm going to talk about those too. But first, we should do this. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance, not necessarily indicative of future results. I may never get a single trade right again. This presentation is intended to be informational, educational, and fun, because what's the point of life if you're not having a little bit of fun? And it's not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. Financial instrument, otherwise, you don't even have to buy anything from me if you don't want to. You can just come watch these YouTube videos. But if you want more of my time, you got to come and be a customer. I run a Discord server for my clients, and you can talk to me all day long, request whatever you want to request, and get, my opinion on any chart. Now, for those of you that want more, be a subscriber. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell with the doodads. And I'm going live at 5 p.m. today to take your requests for at least 30 minutes. And usually, lately, we've been going more than an hour on these requests. So that comes up at 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to get a request in, that's how we're going to do it at 5 p.m. All right. Here we go. So I'll pull this over. Earnings. I was going to talk about earnings because, this might be the biggest single week. Last week was 40. We got to 48% of the S&P 500 by market cap. And after this week, we will be past 40. We'll be probably past the peak. We have companies like Caterpillar, Uber, Pfizer, Merck, JetBlue, SunPower, all coming in this morning. This evening, we got AMD. We'll talk about a lot of these this evening. Starbucks, Pinterest, MicroStrategy. A lot of these will be out when we do the 30 Minutes of Awesome at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then before the open tomorrow, we'll have CVS, Humana, Generac, Kraft Heinz, First Builder Source, tons of stuff. And then, after that close, so the rest of the week, interesting. The two biggest names on here, Amazon, Apple, and then Coinbase and Block are also interesting. Airbnb, I have a long trade on that one. We can talk about that later in the week. So this is, there's a lot of potentially market moving stuff, and the market getting a little jitters this morning. Why? Well, we stayed sideways right in the range yesterday, right in the range I described. But here's the news I brought to talk about. The debt tsunami begins. The U.S., the Treasury, is going to have to refinance. I was talking about this for quite a few weeks. Now's the time that they're going to actually kick this into high gear. We're going to sell $1 trillion in this quarter, probably another $1 trillion next quarter is the estimate down here, right here. Let's pop this up, look at it. We're projected to sell about $1 trillion and dang near close to it next quarter. All right. Now, what does this do? This sucks liquidity out of the market. This is historic too. Beyond right here in June of 20, when we had the peak of COVID, we are going to suck epic levels of liquidity out of the markets. Now, if anybody that's followed me a little bit, you know that the central bank liquidity worldwide is virtually the highest correlated thing to the S&P 500's performance. When they suck down, when they make liquidity less available, we see the S&P pull back. When we see their balance sheets expand and they increase liquidity, we see the S&P rocket higher. So this will be something to keep an eye on as we move forward. We're not just talking about repos flipping into bills either. This is going to be long duration coupons, and things like that to finance the Treasury. All right. I will keep you updated and keep track on it. And this is a premium article, as you can see. And these are the kind of things I'm sitting here diving into. You know, when we look at this right here, there's our current numbers as far as changing cash balances. And there's some funny numbers going on here because they're not able to flip those repos into T-bills anymore. We're got to do something different to keep refinancing the Fed and the Treasury. Excuse me, the Treasury and the Fed, two different things. Refinancing the Treasury. And our interest payments are probably going to pass $1 trillion very quickly. Here we are, federal debt to GDP right here, the projected number in the next, say, 30 years. Look at that. We're going to ramp up to 200%. That's historically, in the history of the world, when public debt gets to 200% GDP, that's when empires fail. So this is, I don't know, kind of ominous if we actually get on this path, this exponential increasing path right here. Can be a problem, a major problem for the U.S. We do have lots of, there's lots of costs out there. They're unfunded liabilities sitting on the balance sheet. We are sitting at like $212 trillion of public debt when you consider the unfunded liabilities. And some of these programs may go away. So just keep it in mind. If you plan to be around for the long haul, we may be in for some problems. Now, let's circle back to a news article and actually talk about how you might trade it. So Exxon in talks with Tesla, Ford, Volkswagen, and others to become a lithium supplier kingpin. And this is interesting. As I kind of perused down through here, we saw, I don't know how you say that, Albemarle Company. They're a North Carolina-based company that is a global lithium producer. And ExxonMobil's talking to them, so let's check out the charts and see. Now, interesting down here is that Exxon wants to do an underground brine mining, lithium brine mining. So take salt water from underground and extract the lithium out of it. It's a different process. It'd be different than taking the jungle and stripping it out. So they think it might be more environmentally friendly. I don't know. They plan on building the world's largest lithium processing facility in Arkansas, right there. And that's XOM. That's a Wall Street Journal article linked right there. Now let's go look at some charts and see how this might actually relate here. So let me flip this around, flip this back to the new list, and right here I have ExxonMobil. Let's pop it up to a daily chart and kind of see where we're at. So that right there, descending wedgie thing, not awesome. Right there, right there. Got to break out of that to change the tune of this thing. And right now it is a market roadmap type bounce pattern. It's a little meh, but that is a higher low right now. And if we start breaking out above the 618 here, this thing can take off. Now we've been seeing oil hitting my upside targets. So this is a positive, but it's got some work to do. Then ALB, however you say it, Albemarle. This one kind of looking a little bearish, actually. We zoom this out. We look at this. We've been down, 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 lower highs. We're just up off the lowest low here. Now, one thing that jumps out at me right away, look at this. We might be doing a head and shoulders pattern, which is a bullish reversal. Now, we could see an extension down to this 132, and that would kind of blow out this potential head and shoulders. But if we round the bottom here and break the neckline, we could see a nice bullish move there. There you go. So what price would JT be interested in? Well, you're going to have to watch this one just a little bit. Also interesting right here, potential measured bounce setup. If this holds this area, breaks that neckline, potential big up. Potential. This is interesting. This is how you take fundamental type news and you turn it around into a technical pattern that might actually play out. So we could look at that head and shoulders pattern, play out right to the 1618. These things are coming into alignment here. Now, we can push a little lower, and you've got to wait for this thing to fully cook. I would want to see it above the daily roadmap line. So this is an opportunity here. We could set some alerts in here. Probably set one right there for me, and maybe one down here at the 618 just in case we actually hit it. Then I'll get more interested in tracking this. So there you go. That's how you take like a news story and then you check it out and you find the opportunity. Right now, ExxonMobil, not really the opportunity, but the Albemarle Corp could be an interesting play right there. So there you go. All right. Morning, everybody else that joined me. Beth, Dan, Pat, Valerie, Maurizio, Tara, Anderson. I'm not sure I've seen your name before. Infinity Searching. Not sure I've seen your name either. Love the unicorn. And Marianne. Morning, everybody. So there you go. There's a couple potential charts to look at, and then we'll get into the normal morning show here. Hey, Mary Lou. Glad you joined me yesterday. Saw the request for access. I got that done this morning, I think it was. So, all right, S&P 500. Yesterday. These right there. Look, we closed right on the freaking line. Right there. I mean, so close. You can smell it. Be careful. This can be, we're working on top. This is what this feels like. It feels like a top. And I was discussing with Goose and several others last night, and then Mr. Sharp too last evening, that I think the major players are playing a game of flinch. We saw that yesterday, and we saw some crazy buying into the close, and then we're down 17 points this morning. Let's go look at this and see what I'm talking about here. The futures were net negative yesterday by quite a lot. I kind of keep track of the positioning. We saw some volatility in here, and we saw this giant pop right into the close. This was like a game of flinch. Like, who's going to flinch? I'm going to sell a bunch of contracts. I'm going to try to get you to sell a bunch of contracts or a bunch of your stock. And if you start dumping everything, then I'm going to start buying it back and rip you. They start playing these games. This is why you're seeing this chop. And then all of a sudden it gets out of control and they start a correction. I've seen this back in 2012. Goose was talking about, he saw it back in 99. It doesn't mean we won't get bullish continuation, but we may see a correction that gets a little bit out of control. So that's something to keep an eye on here. And we didn't really break the range I was talking about yesterday. That orange box, we are down below it this morning. We tried to get below it yesterday, popped right back up to the top. Now this is looking a little more bearish this morning. We are holding above this box that I was looking for as support last week. If we get down below that, it's on for going on down. This will be the first move down. This will be the correction, and we can see a third move down or fourth and fifth move down. This could be the start of something bigger as far as correction-wise, and it could take a little while. Now that the $1 trillion coming on the market could be one of the catalysts for this too. Liquidity leaving the market could cause problems. So NASDAQ again, still being quite bearish. That is a significant lower high, holding the measured bounce potential setup, a fib line pattern. And if we break down below about 15.7, this thing's probably heading on down. And we are already got the market open. Russell potentially breaking out, moved above the trend line. This was positive action for going higher, actually. This was, we are retracing a bit deeply this morning. This may have been the final attempt. If we break down, just have to keep an eye on this. It could break right back down below the trend line. It could have just been a fake breakout. But if we can hold above that trend line, push above the highs we saw yesterday, probably on the path to get up into the 21 to 2200 area on Russell. You may be like, JT, okay, look, ES, NQ, RTY, I've never heard of these before. These are all futures. I track them because they trade all night. ES is the SP 500, SPX, SPY, that's ways to trade it. NQ, QQQ, NASDAQ, that's the way to trade it. And Russell, RTY, that's your small caps, that's IWM, if you're unfamiliar with the ETF for that one. So that's ways to trade those three right there. All right, oil continues to be on the train here. I do expect one little push higher, probably 82, 85, and that's probably going to be the top for a little bit. So I may look to unload my UCO position on that pop. Gold, just churning. We're seeing the dollar popping, gold dropping. I mean, gold and Bitcoin both seem to be doing the same thing this morning. Getting a little bit of pullback on Bitcoin, still holding above the low from back here on the 24th. And can we break out on this off August day? I don't know. The Bitcoin chart may be looking for a retrace back to the roadmap line. That may be what we're set up for. We may continue on down for the next couple weeks, back down in this zone. Ethereum still looks bearish. We get below the roadmap line, it's probably on for this 1450 to 1550 area down here, where I've been looking for quite a while. We almost got there back here, but came up short, made the lower high. Probably going to complete the pattern. Dollar popping a little bit up to the top of the range. I thought it might do that after consolidating right there below it. If we can hold there and turn down again, we're going to go down. Otherwise, it may be on a path to go retest the roadmap line one more time from below, which is bearish for continuation lower. It's just going to take longer. So XOM, we already covered, and ALB, we already covered. So if you want to see those, rewind a little bit. Cat popping, beautiful. This is one of the canaries in the coal mine, so to speak, on the economy recovering or going bust. So we're seeing major beat on the top and the bottom. Numbers for earnings, nice pop right into the target zone. It just took 6 months longer than I thought it would. That's been my target zone, and the most ideal target right up there around 294. My options expired back here somewhere around May, I think it was. But hey, can't all be winners. I took a big fat loser on that one, but ultimately hitting the target zone. Right up in there, right? It's right there. Look, right in the green box. Uber. Yeah, ANET's on the list, I do believe. Yeah, right down there. A couple more down. Uber. Beating on the top. Actually made some money, it looks like. Missing on the bottom, just kind of mixed results and mixed results on the chart. That is one heck of an extension move and probably needs to come back to the roadmap line. So probably headed back down this way at some point in time. May do it in a choppy, nasty, gnarly manner. So AMD reporting earnings tonight, and this looks like it needs to get one more push lower. Would not surprise me if we actually saw this push on down on the reaction to earnings. It could pop up. Put the signal where I would be wrong is a move up through 124. That could put us on a path to go on higher, but it would look best if we got a retrace just a little deeper. We're kind of sitting on the top of this box. We filled that gap, and it's going to look best if we push right to the bottom of the box, back to test these support levels, and then break out higher. Now, it could just go 139, 148 would be the upside targets if it just took off and went. PINS also reporting earnings this evening. We'll talk about that. We'll look at the AMD earnings. We'll look at the PINS earnings. PINS just kind of sitting there below resistance, above some support, just kind of in this tight area. That's a sideways gnarly pattern. The boss, Kimberly, my lovely wife, does hold some PINS, so we may see a breakout. Watching Rusk. Yeah. All right. Watching Ross Cameron trade while watching this. Yeah, AMD not looking so fun. Yeah, that's true. ANET, nice pop. Bounce right off the roadmap line. The targets are 186, 197 right there. Just like I talked about, what, a few days ago? Yesterday? I don't know. Whenever I last talked about it, I put the mark right there. 186, 196. That's the targets on the upside. If we can get above that prior high, get a little bit of retrace, but it's probably a breakout. Probably going to be a breakout. AMSC, crazy pop. And crazy pops usually result in crazy retraces at some point. Now, this can go much higher before we get to that point. Yeah, we're up to 436. Could get as high as about $24, $25, looks like. Chart would support that. And then, oh yeah, look, right there. That would be the, we're in this resistance now. Breakout above that could get up to that resistance right there, which is 24, 25, 26. It would be extremely rare for this to break out and make a new high above here, but it could. Like, that's like a 1% chance move right now. Retracing is the higher likelihood path, but this thing's done crazy shiz before, can do crazy shiz again. Just keep it in mind that if you're gonna chase stuff like this, it's kind of like digital gambling, but some people make a lot of money doing this, and that's the next resistance up there. If I was going long here, I would be booking or protecting profit if we got up into this box. So, all right, SNMP, crazy pop on that one continues. That looks like oil and gas pipeline. Reverse split. Reverse splits are ultimately going to be bearish. After this pop gets finished up, we're probably coming right back down. Be careful. Be careful, be careful. TMV. Leverage stuff, I have to warn you, be careful on leverage. Leverage stuff does not always follow my patterns, but this is close to a breakout here. This is the 20-year treasury, bearish. So not bullish on 20-year treasuries. And if they're going to dump $1 trillion worth of treasuries and coupons and notes and crap into the market, might see some bearish action there too. UPTD, trade up acquisition, probably a SPAC, and I don't see a beautiful way to trade that with anything I track. That's just chaotic and low volume. ABVC, looks like it is a dumpster fire going into oblivion here. That one. Reverse splits. 99% of reverse splits are bearish and probably going on towards zero from here. TM, nice pop, breakout potential. Next level up would be somewhere in this zone right here. May pop up in that and consolidate a bit like it did right back here. INCY. Another dumpster fire chart. Not necessarily dumpster fire company, just dumpster fire chart. Pharmaceutical. So this is like two things going for it. You know, biotech, pharmaceutical, be careful. That stuff does not always follow my patterns. My patterns don't do well with that, with the random news that comes out on these. Major resistance right here where we've chopped for almost years. So MRK, Merck and company. Looks like consolidating down here. We made a lower low. Need to pull that over just a hair. And right there, if we can break out above those levels, we can get some move up. 123. If we break down below this, we'll probably get some extensions lower, and that would look like 104. We almost got there too. 104, possibly 101 on the downside. Zebra, ouch, look at that gap down. That looks like it may want to rally right back up though. Chaotic Chaotic price action. That could be a measured bounce. Let's measure it one more way. One more way. Yeah, we got, could go lower low very easily. Not sure on that one. You'd have to watch some lower time frames. That's chaotic. I could make a case for bullish and bearish on there, and it's just not one I feel great about. 255, not too bad. Beating on the top, missing on the bottom. If we can get above 320, then this thing is probably going way on higher. So set your alert at 320 if this is one that you're interested in. Above 320, probably going to head up to 420. ROK, Rockwell, right back to the roadmap line. That would be classic. Didn't quite fully touch it. Looking for 330, 363 on the upside if we can get the bounce down here. Now, if this is the low right there, the lowest point that we make on this one, then 360 could get you a little extra point, couple points if we pull it on down just a touch. MSTR getting hit on Bitcoin, getting hit and not really moving that much. I mean, it's down 1%. We were seeing a pre-market down a little more. If Bitcoin can rally back, this one can go on an extension, but it is pretty cooked and may get a deeper retrace back to this breakout box. You know, broke out of this resistance level, may come back and retest it before we can actually continue higher. TGTX, ouch. There's a pharmaceutical biotech for you. Reporting earnings, missing on everything. Losing a bunch of money. Garbage. Don't trade that stuff. I mean, unless that's just something you're good at, but I wouldn't chase it. Rambus, right back to the roadmap line. Wasn't today, wasn't tomorrow, but it got there eventually, right there. Now, if it can, now that we're back there, now that we finally did that, finally, if it can turn back higher, you know, your aggressive entry would be something moving up through about 56. More conservatively, above 66, looking for 73 and 80 on the upside. It's actually a really nice looking pattern. This is one of my favorite patterns right there. If it can start performing to the upside, get continuation, trend pullback continuation. Love those kind of patterns. That one held the 1272. SMCI. We've been talking about this one over and over. Held the 1272. Retraced back in. This is starting to look a little toppy. This pattern is starting to look a little rocky. We may see a deeper retrace. We can definitely see a push on out to 353 right now. That would be the upside target, where I would expect more resistance to come in. And watch out for it to break down below where this doji was right here. Back below 315. We can see it come back in the 200s pretty easily. Maybe all the way back down to like 200 in this zone right down in here. Somewhere in that zone. ZI. Wow, look at that. Big smack down. Packaged software. Lower low. That's why I warn. And let's see. Where would the downside be on this one? Probably 1784, maybe 1450. That would be the downside targets right there. All right. What do I think about GDX? I will take requests at 5 p.m. I'll pop this up and look. Looks like it's not doing anything. Nothing worth messing with right there. So bias for the day right now. Starting to be a little rocky. Still expect sideways. We're still in that range right there where we've got support right here. We get below 45.89. That's the clue that we're going on down. If we get up, you know, maybe even 45.85, we could push it a little bit lower. We get below that with any kind of momentum, probably going on down, lower low than we saw right back here on the 27th. If, for whatever reason, we rally right back up, break above this resistance, I mean, we got right there yesterday, 46.22, still the level I'm watching, still today. Otherwise, if we just sit in here, don't break out, don't break down, more sideways, just like yesterday. So that's the bias for the day, just more sideways, more chop. Unfortunately, that's what we got right now. And I'll be on 5 o'clock. Take your requests. So come join me. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the bell with the notifications. And we'll see you. I'm going to Discord. I'll be in there all day. And have a great day, everybody. Bye for now.